What does that sound, you ask?
Welcome to the Rec Show podcast, a show dedicated to beatmakers around the world. Kick back, relax with the host, Gldnmnd.
Peace. What up? Shalom. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Rec Show, episode number 30, man. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Felices Fiestas, Je, Re, Kao, Le, Shiwasena, Kiyujitsu, Bonas Festas. That's Portuguese, that's Japanese, that's Spanish, man. Yo, man, happy holidays, man. I hope everybody's having a good week, good weekend, spending it with your family, loved ones.
First up, come on, Light. Come on, Light. Stop. Let me step into it. Let me step into it. Come on, Light. I didn't even.
Hey, that just feels good, man. Yo, step into your light, man. Don't step into your light in 2022. Step into it right now, man. I appreciate y'all for checking out this episode. Yo, we're gonna have a dope episode, man. We're gonna jazz out on this one, man, a lot. Yeah, I got my man, Whknws, man. Photographer, beat maker, just an overall human being trying to do what he likes to do, man. His photography is dope. His beats are dope, man. Yo. But yeah, man. So yeah, we're gonna vibe out to his music and get to know him for this last episode. This last episode gonna be dope. You're gonna get some jewels in this episode as well, man. So sit back, relax, smoke them if you got them. Go outside to the stars if it's warm enough. If it's cold enough, go outside. Chill out, man. We'll be back. Peace and love, yo.
Peace, y'all. This is Whknws coming to you live from Anaheim, California. You're now checking out The Rec Show with the homie Gldnmnd. Yeah.
I told y'all, man, it's gonna be a dope one, man. So we're gonna get into the interview part right now, man. So Whknws, man, for beat heads that might be asleep, please introduce yourself, where you're from, what your name means, and how your name was even created. But then also, like, just jump into, like, how did you begin your journey into music? Like, what gives you that childlike fascination to keep making music, amazing music, and photography?
Yo, what's going on? I go by the name of Whknws. My real name is JT. I'm originally from Oakland, California. I lived in Long Beach for about a year, and now I reside in the greater OC Anaheim area. Honestly, my name doesn't really take too particular of a meaning. I didn't really get super deep with it. But if I were to give it a meaning, it more or less comes into how I felt like there was a little bit of ambiguity in my style. So hence the name Who Knows, because who knows what he's coming from, or where he's coming from, excuse me. But it wasn't really nothing like too deep. I thought it was kind of cool. No vowels. So yeah, my musical journey kind of began while I was a kid. I kind of came up in the church. My pops was a bass player, and he kind of would take me around to different churches. We get to know some of the other drummers, bass players, pianists, organists, and they would kind of just have little jam sessions, and I would just kind of go through and be with them and kind of chilling. When I was in like grade school, around the 4th grade, that was when I picked up the trumpet and started playing that, and I played that all throughout high school. So yeah, music kind of been a part of my life for a couple of decades, which is cool, simply because it's just kind of kept me afloat, and it's probably been the only thing that I've really gravitated towards. And that kind of leads into the next question, which is the childlike fascination for amazing music and photography. By the way, I appreciate that, because we always, as artists, don't always think our stuff is amazing, but I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, to keep making music, that childlike fascination really came from just wanting to impress my teenage self. I was always kind of into music, but I wasn't really like a beat head, or I wasn't really just bumping instrumentals like that, simply because I wasn't exposed to shit. So yeah, my musical journey began as a youth. I kind of grew up in the church. So my dad, he was a bass player way back when. And he would just kind of take me around to different churches because he knew a lot of different musicians there. A lot of the drummers, organists, bass players, all of those types of people. And I was just kind of around them. And a lot of these dudes were very talented musicians. These dudes were different. And I was just kind of exposed to them in the best way possible. Outside of that, though, too, my experience picking up the trumpet and being a 9-year-old kid, just kind of being exposed to, that side of music. So that definitely was where it began. And for me, honestly, what kind of keeps that childlike fascination is really just, especially into music, but more recently photography, is just kind of, impressing my younger self. The self that didn't really have exposure and or resources to kind of get to those things, to create music, to then be able to do photography. I didn't really have those resources, so definitely as an adult, and being able to kind of invest in what I do, and then just me having a whole bunch of ideas about things and it just being fun, is definitely what keeps that fascination pumping, because there's always something new to create, and there's always, and that creation and that celebration of creation is what makes me have that fascination. It's because there's always something new to create, there's always something fresh, which keeps everything interesting.
vibing right now, man. We vibing right now. So who knows, man? Like creatively, what goes on in the mind of you as you hear sample sounds you want to use in your production? Like, do you start with melody, drums first? Like what you know what I mean? Like what DAWs or what analog hardware do you use? Like I know you use like Ableton Live and SP404 more to create your music, but like why do you use them? Like what is it about those tools that help you express your creativity musically? That makes sense.
Man, what goes on in my mind when I hear samples? Honestly, I love listening to chords, chord progressions, all of those things, of course. But I typically listen to like atmosphere, artifact, i.e. like vinyl sim or the crackle of vinyl, and then how that kind of facilitates or adds to the feeling that the musicians are playing with their notes, how that kind of captures a scene. I'm big into movies, i.e. why I got into photography in the first place. I'm big into movies. I'm big into visually being able to create a feeling. So when I listen to samples, or if I'm about to chop something up, or if I'm feeling inclined or inspired to dig into my record collection and find a couple of cuts from there, I typically close my eyes, or I'll just pace around, and during that time it's just a whole bunch of visuals. It could be really anything. I could be like an animated character. I could be in a scene of a movie, or I could be the guy behind the scenes directing the movie and a scene kind of just going down. So creatively, honestly, it's not about like me chopping something. It's me trying to figure out, okay, what kind of experience does this give me? And how can I recreate this experience, but through my own lens, which definitely keeps me intrigued with listening to samples and old records from the 70s, is because they were able to capture so many feelings in that room at that time, and that's kind of immortalized, which is super dope. So it's definitely something that I think about too when I'm listening to the music. And me, honestly, it's based on a feeling. I don't have any particular order in how I do how I create my beats. It could be drums first, it could be melodies first. I think if something resonates with me at that present time, like if I'm just on Ableton, I open it up and I'm just like, damn, I'm feeling drums. So I'll just click through drum sounds, load up my preset drum rack, load up some drum sounds, and then just go to work on a pattern. But then sometimes I'm listening to samples, or I'm listening to different songs, and something just is like, ooh, I want to do this, and then I chop it, resample, and then lay it down. Rhythmically, it works, and then it kind of just sparks okay, these are the drums that sound right with this. Let me build a pattern. So it depends on the feeling. For me, it's all about the feeling. If I'm feeling the drums, then I'll do the drums first. If I'm feeling the melody, then I'll do that first.
Hey yo, I'm Architecture, and you're listening to The Rec Show with my man Gldnmnd.
So yeah, I'm big on Ableton Live. I've been using it for I think like a year and a half now. SP404, which I'm trying to get into creating a little bit more. But I use those tools simply because I started with Machine. I really started with FL Studios, but I was on that for like a month until I was introduced to another homie that used Machine, and it kind of just piqued my interest, and I got into working with Machine. Developed some kind of workflow. The majority of like my early beats are in Machine beats, and this is way before I got the 404, and then my computer crapped out on me, of course. But once I got a new computer and I got myself an interface and some new speakers, I was blessed with Ableton Live Lite, which I built, I think, my first tape of the year, my Quiet Night tape. I did that just with 8 tracks because there's not much you really need to do. I mean, sometimes if you want to expand on elements, then of course you need those additional tracks. But yeah, I was just working within the limitations that I had to work with Ableton Live Lite. But why I love using Ableton is because I just feel like for me, it kind of breaks off the limits, which is a good and bad thing for me personally. I can't speak for everybody else, but it really allows you to kind of just dive in. Like, if you have ideas and you're ready to put them to work, you can just go ahead and put them to work. You just kind of have to know certain technical things to just make the system work for you, instead of it working and working you working the system and then making it work for you. And so that's what I've just kind of learned how to do. I usually like to start on a blank canvas. The only thing that I really have is just preset drums, because I just save my drum racks, and then what I do is just swap out certain sounds, especially if I'm working with a particular sample or if I'm working with chords. Then I try to find drum sounds or instruments or drum breaks that sound good with whatever I'm working with. But then that SP Ableton workflow definitely keeps me kind of quick with how I arrange stuff as well, because I also have a Novation Launchpad Mini, which is definitely good for arranging, especially for me if I want to do live stuff. I can just, I can solo shit, I can mute stuff, I can play between different clips and record them straight into the SP, resample, add effects. And it just, for me, it's definitely been a quick workflow. I'm starting to actually incorporate a little bit more of Koala into my workflow, because it's just been interesting, and I've been having a lot of the homies kind of just talk to me about what and how to use it correctly, which has been cool. But yeah, Ableton definitely just helps me just blast out my creative ideas in the way that I want them to go, instead of me kind of having to work through some workarounds. Like, there's an infinite grid, like there's just so much you can do with Ableton. But there's a lot you can also do with the SP404 too, because I've been making a couple of beats on there. By the way, peace to the homie Beats by Silas for definitely kind of inspiring me. Definitely peace to Dibia and Jazz Ali as well. Definitely inspired me to create full beats on the SP404, because it's just such a powerful tool. And once you just really learn to work within the limitations, then you can kind of find a different workflow. And there are a lot of different accidents that kind of happen, that turn into happy accidents that make, the beats sound a little bit better. So it's definitely great tools.
So yeah, man, yo, I'm on the sheet here too. I just got my SP44 Mark II. I gotta figure that out. But I have Ableton, man. I just have not touched Ableton Lite live. I don't know why, but yeah, I need to get into that. But so yeah, Long Beach, California, aka the LBC, is where you reside. But like, what were your musical influences growing up? Like, what is that one moment that stands out in your childhood regarding music, period? Like, any genre, no genres off limits, any of that stuff. And then
so man, yeah. So I lived in Long Beach for about a year actually, and I actually moved at the top of this year, I believe, yeah, around the top of this year, and I reside now in Orange County, Anaheim area. But most of my musical influences when I was growing up were jazz, mostly. I was a big jazz head. It was introduced to me when I was about 13. I was like a band kid. But my music teacher, one day, he was like, we had a unit on jazz, and I was like, yo, what the hell is this? Like, I've heard of jazz, but who are these cats, right? So he plays So What by Miles Davis. And he played the video from 1955 with Miles Davis on the marquee. John Coltrane coming in tenor, playing a little bit of solo. And it was just interesting, intriguing to me to see some guy, especially a black man, playing an instrument that I didn't necessarily want to play at first, but he used it in ways that I'd never really seen it being used before. So that was intriguing to me. So that got me on a deep dive of jazz. I listened to the rest of the Kind of Blue album as a kid. Then that got me digging into cats like Cannonball Adderley. That got me digging into more trumpet players like Clifford Brown and Lee Morgan. Got me digging into more John Coltrane's work, a little bit of Giant Steps. And then that just got me onto a lot of different jazz musicians. But then from there, I was also exposed to a lot of 80s R&B, a lot of Patrice Rushen, a lot of Anita Baker. My pops was putting me on to a lot of Mint Condition and a lot of different cats like that. So it was definitely a broad scope of music. And I can't forget my uncle, who was really my first introduction into the world of hip hop. He was the one putting me on to Talib Kweli. He was putting me on to Mos Def, and a lot of those cats. So yeah, I was definitely exposed to a lot of different music at an early age, which kind of just piqued my interest about being behind the scenes. And kind of the moment that really stands out is that moment that I said for sure was when my music teacher played that So What video, and I was like, yo, there's a whole different side of music and feeling, using the same exact chords that classical composers use, and it just kind of opened up a different side or a different door of music that was super intriguing to me, which kind of keeps that childlike drive open for me as well.
This is Jazz Ali, and you're listening to The Rec Show with Gldnmnd.
Man, I appreciate you on the beat tapes. We got more coming though. I definitely am happy with the joints that I put out, especially more happy with the singles that I put out, because I feel like I've been able to kind of showcase a little bit of my growth. I've been kind of cooling it on the singles just to kind of gather my thoughts around this tape and really just put a good amount of effort into that. But I appreciate you, bro. Yeah, I really appreciate that. But man, my muses, when I'm creating them, I think for me, what I'm learning now, even before I started putting my tapes together, because I'm in a different mindset, or I've grown from those tapes, a lot of those singles, some of those flips. And the majority of the time, the muse is just like life, what's kind of going on around me. I'm a big person to kind of observe my circumstance and observe my reality, and how that kind of affects me on a day-to-day, and how that affects me is the outcome of whatever I create in that present moment. So it's really just a feeling. It's really just trying to capture a feeling, how something feels, what feels real, like what's genuine. And allowing that to be displayed, instead of just trying to make something that people want to hear, but not like what feels good to me, what feels right, and not even just necessarily what feels right or what feels good, but what just like feels in general, like what has a particular feeling within the frequency. So yeah, that draws from life, that draws from experience, that draws from present situations, that goes from past situations. So most of my muses are just literal reality.
Yeah, man. So listen, this is a new game I created called Superheroes, right? You play it by naming your childhood, teenager, and adult beatmaker or music producer superheroes.
Major killer.
No genres off limits, bro.
So yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy that you asked, because there's so many heads that come to mind when it comes to like music producer superheroes, because I've always been like, especially when I was exposed to a lot of these beat makers and producers, and then some cats that I just kind of discovered on my own that people just knew about. It's a lot, but I'm gonna try to keep the list short. Right now, a lot of those cats are like Knxwledge, Karriem Riggings, DJ Harrison, TUAMIE, man, freaking, of course, Dilla, of course, Madlib, but then also cats like After One and Fat John, and a lot of these dudes with just killer drums and just crazy sound selection. And then not to mention the homies that I currently get the chance to be around, like the homies Tvkii, like the homie Maddie J, like the homie T-Dot, Solace, Lo-tek, Black God, all of those cats, like they're just like some of the craziest people I've seen make beats. So it's a lot. I got a lot of producer superheroes, but yeah, the main ones off the top are the ones that I mentioned before, because those are the cats that really pushed my drive into making beats, into trying to make them sound a certain way. I also can't forget Mndsgn. That dude's a crazy influence, because he has just a lot of different styles. So yeah, those are the ones.
Yeah, man. Yo, shout out to everybody you just named too, man. So, like, now that you're a little older and wiser, what advice would you give the younger you when you first started making beats? And part two of that is, like, what would be your advice on artists being creative while working one, maybe two jobs to support themselves? And
so what advice I would give to my younger self? Well, one, I would definitely say just be yourself, because people like you and for you, or the right people that are supposed to be around you will find you. So definitely being just myself, being genuine, just not not trying to be somebody that I'm not, but just be you. Because I wish I would have knew that just as a teenager, instead of just trying to kind of fit in with a norm or conform to some idealism, when that stuff didn't serve me but was not me. Definitely set me back mentally, but as I've kind of learned, being myself is, number one, a lot easier, and it's definitely something that is inspiring me and really pushing me to grow and break out of my shell when it comes to connecting with other people. Also, that goes along with not being afraid to connect with other people. That's something that I would definitely tell myself, is not to be weary of rejection. But also, when you're approaching somebody, try to approach them without the need to be an opportunist, right? Approach them because you genuinely want to have a connection with somebody, and not because you just have or are taking some kind of opportunistic approach, because that generally turns people off, right? Especially if you want something from somebody. It's not about wanting something, it's just about trying to build a genuine relationship. Maybe you can have somebody to call friend at the end of the day, and they could possibly be collaborators, but it always doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't always have to be you're hitting somebody up whose music you like, but you're just trying to make music with them. Like, just genuinely connect, meet people, get to know people. So that's a big piece of advice that I would give my younger me.
Hey, what up, y'all? Y'all know who it is. It's your friendly neighborhood Mndsgn, aka TUAMIE, and you are now listening to The Rec Show with Gldnmnd.
Being creative while working one or two jobs. For me, that's been the biggest struggle, because I went to school, got a whole degree in finance, worked in the financial field or corporate finance for a year. And it took so much from me, mentally, creatively. So I would say definitely try to find jobs. If you're gonna work, if you need to work a job and you're creating, definitely try to work a job that that doesn't require or necessarily try to take a lot from you. Although working a job, of course, still takes something from you, energy-wise, hence exhaustion after a shift. You know, it's really, you really got to try to find something that isn't 100% like super demanding, something that doesn't force you to have to go above and beyond because you're spending your energy and a lot of times some of your creative energy on things that aren't necessarily beneficial to you, but beneficial to somebody who's trying to make a dollar out of you. If people have those kinds of jobs, you know, you really just have to find a balance and just trying to figure out, like, you know, what it is, how much time do you want to allot to making your music? Because some days you just don't want to do anything. Sometimes you're exhausted. Which is okay. Like, we shouldn't beat ourselves up for not creating a certain day. Like, if we go 2-3 days without creating, but then we go a whole week of just making stuff every day, we shouldn't beat ourselves up for wanting rest. Because there's a difference between, you know, procrastination and laziness vice to resting. And so we just have to show ourselves grace. I think that's a big thing, and that's something that I try to prescribe to, is showing myself grace and understanding that I'm human. I'm not a mechanism. I'm not a robot. So I have to recoup. I have to reset. There's no like correct way to do this, and it's gonna take as long as it needs to take. And don't compare yourself to people who are currently doing music full time, or don't compare yourself to people who are working but look like, and I air quote that, but look like, you know, they're just achieving all this success. Like, just don't compare yourself, because you don't know where they had to start or end or get to, or what they had to kind of do to get to where they currently are. And focusing on them manifests something else. So you definitely want to just make sure, and that's something I'm learning, you know, every day, is just making sure that, you know, you're just focused on what it is that you're trying to do. Focus on what it is that you as a person, and I say me, but you, it's really me, as a person, is trying to do. What's your goal? And then doing what you have to do and taking those necessary steps to making that happen for yourself, without the need or without the pollution of your thoughts about what other people are doing, because that manifests into energy that can be of detriment to you obtaining the kind of success or reaching those goals that you set for yourself. So just focusing on you. And this is something that I tell myself every day, because it's an ongoing thing. It's not just one day I wake up and say, oh, I don't care. Like, no, we're humans. So every day is work. The work doesn't stop. So
like, what's the beat community, the beat scene like where you live at, man?
So yeah, I mean, when I was in Long Beach, I wasn't really heavily connected to the beat scene. But I definitely got connected to a lot of cats online, simply because I didn't really know too many people, and around this time I was still in school and I wasn't really reaching out and getting out there like I could have. But when I moved, you know, I started chopping it up with cats like Lo-tek, and then I through him, and even indirectly, which is crazy, like through him indirectly I met TeedotEinsof, who's in the Riverside, Menifee area, and we just kind of started chopping it up. Came out there to see him, and then just got introduced to a whole other host of homies. But yeah, it was really just, it was like, because I hate using the word organic, but I mean, that's what it was. It was organic. It was just as genuine people, instead of just talking about the music, like we were really just talking about life. Hey, how are you? How you doing today, my G? This type of stuff, like actually having conversations, vice to just straight music talk all the time. So that was cool. So yeah, I kind of stated it a little bit earlier in one of my other responses, but when I approach connecting with other like-minded producers and beat makers, it's just I just present myself and nothing else. You know what I mean? It's simple. It's just that simple. It's not about trying to portray a gimmick. It's not about trying to be something else. It's just me being me. And that's really how I connect. It's I don't really have like a step-by-step on how to connect with other like-minded beat makers and producers, but it's really just put your best foot forward, reach out.
Episode 30 of the Rec Show, man. Last one for the year. I might have another one, man. I don't know. But listen, who knows? That's all you can do, man. Is connect, reach out, and have a genuine connection with people, man. And even though we scattered all over the world, you know what I mean, we still are able to connect with social media like Twitter, Instagram, and we still can have conversations. And that's exactly what this show is. I feel like this show is like the Professor X, and like when he's in the machine trying to locate mutants. Like this is this show. Like this is the show. This is the idea I had when I it was dropped in my spirit to do the show, man. So, but yo, in your opinion, like how do you think artists such as yourself can benefit from total control over your music, their music, and its distribution with the emerging technologies such as blockchain and cryptocurrencies? Because that's a big thing, man. It's emerging. Artists are using it more and more. It's only a matter of time, and it's exploding right now. I feel like this is the internet boom that we couldn't cash in on because maybe it was in school, high school, middle school, elementary school, whatever. But it's time, baby. Times is changing. What do you think?
No, yeah, it's huge. This one thing that the homies and I talk about a lot is how to control or take control or have autonomy over music, your distribution of that said music within the realm of emerging technology, especially if we're going to be more specific, the NFT population is huge. Because it provides artists with other opportunities to not have to rely on large record labels who kind of want to sell a product vice to develop artistry. So generally there's a cookie cutter approach to how the industry likes to do things, which provides them with the utmost control because they have control over distribution, they have control over how things are being sold in markets, they have control over said markets. So, you know, that they're catering a lot of that image to something that they can recreate. There's a template for that. But when it comes to like independent musicians like myself and other people that I associate myself with, it's really about how to kind of maneuver through this landscape and figuring out how things work. And that just goes along with, you know, talking to different people who have experience with NFTs, right? Who've had successful experiences with cryptocurrency in relation to the music and the art that they put out into the world, right? So it's a huge beneficial thing to have control over your music because, one, you won't have a company controlling or dictating your image, because you dictate that yourself, right? You don't have to portray something that you don't want to portray if you have control over what you're producing. And you don't have to rely on someone else's plan for distribution, right? You can create your own. You can create your own marketing approach. I mean, there's a whole bunch of unique ways that people can benefit from having that control over your music and your distribution that, like I said, people don't really want to rely on record labels because they hear so many bad things about what record labels have done to different artists over years. People signing contracts that they don't really know too much about, which is kind of relinquishing their masters to a company for X period of time, right? But having that control and distribution of your music is owning your masters, owning your image, owning your brand, and creating other streams of passive income that you control. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to benefit from. People just have to know, and this is for myself included, just have to know what your approach is going to be, what works for the individual, and then once you figure out the approach, how you execute said approach. Because if the execution is poor, then it may not work the right way or the way that one had intended it to set out. So it's definitely just a lot of strategic planning, and just being smart about having everything in order, to make sure that you're taking the correct approach for yourself, but then also making sure that you can execute said approach, because I feel like for me that's very important when we talk about control over the music.
This is the type of conversations we need to start having within the community, man, because, you know what I mean, the more control we have over what we create, the more we're able to make off of it and support ourselves and to create more. That's what it is, right? It's a cycle, man. So we take that middleman out of it. We take the puppet master out of it. You know what I mean? It's more control. You can't complain, man. I mean, that's what it is, man. So do your research, man, on cryptocurrency, blockchain, all that type of stuff. But yo, more coming with that, by the way. So listen, who knows, man? What should the internets look out for from Who Knows in the remainder of the rest of this year, 2022? And then what do you have on the horizon? Like, how can people tap into you, your music?
Hey, this is Foreman, and you're checking out The Wreck Show with the one and only Gldnmnd.
For the remainder of 2021, I'm not dropping anything. I'll probably just be mostly posting a lot more flips. Definitely thinking of different approaches to my social medias. But in the year 2022, I have plans to drop a couple of things at the beginning of the year, sometime in February. I plan on dropping a tape that's definitely near to me, near and / dear to me, because I feel like it's, you know, me at my rawest form, trying to display me, myself, who Whknws is, what I'm all about, and what I kind of provide to the world as a musician, but really kind of what I sound like in frequency. So that's the biggest thing. And then I have plans to do a lot with that tape. I also have plans to get some collab works in with some of the homies, T-Dot, Black God, Jetlag, Trav. We definitely have something in the works. I've been working with the homies Tvkii and Matty J. Shout outs to those cats. We got something in the works. We've been linking up by way of San Pedro and really getting some shit in. So definitely look out for us. And then I've been kind of picking up getting inside of my MC/rap bag. For those who don't know, I do rap just a little bit. I'm not a rapper. Cats always say that, but I'm really not a rapper. I just get inspiration sometimes to write certain things on my iPhone and just spit them to beats that homies send. Also, big shout out to the homie Beats by Silas, because I always tell him all the time, but it's really crazy because I knew I got some kind of rap skill, but it's just dope to know that somebody actually sees that I actually got some kind of skill with it. So you might see some more Whknws raps. I might go by a different alias, we'll see. But you'll see a lot of that in 2022. But there's a lot of plans to do more collabs in 2022 with some different cats, things that I've kind of put off that I need to put some more focus in. But yeah, I'm definitely thinking of coming with a completely different approach, and you will see my name a lot more in the upcoming months of 2022. And people can really find my stuff on my socials. You can definitely find me on IG and Twitter. All of my links are in my bio, so in the descriptions. And so that's just to my Bandcamp, my Audius, Spotify, Apple Music, and my SoundCloud mostly, which I'm going to be uploading a lot more in 2022. So it's definitely going to be blasting the internets with a lot of loosies, a few more tapes next year, and a few collab projects with some of the homies that I've been able to interact with over these past months. So yeah, it's definitely it's going to be an interesting year. So definitely tap in with the boy. I've got a lot more in store. So appreciate y'all.
Yeah, man. Yo, I gotta leave y'all with this last one, man. This last one's called No Love Off the Quiet Night B-tape or EP from Whknws, man. I want to thank my guest Whknws for allowing me to shed light on you, man, have a conversation with you, and hopefully plug more people into what you're doing, and we go from there. I know 2022 about to be crazy with the names you just named as far as what you're about to be putting out with on me. Tvkii, T-Dot, all of them, man. Those are my G's, man. So yeah, man, I'm ready, man. I'm ready for what y'all got to come out, man. Y'all are like the new, I don't know, I can't even put a description on it, man, but yo, I'm ready, man. I'm just ready, man. Listen, so thank you again. LBC stand up, man. Whknws, I appreciate you one more time. The listeners, man, thank you for checking this show out. Episode number 30, man. We made it to number 30 in 1 year, man. So every single artist that has participated in the show, much respect, love, appreciation, admiration. I've learned so much. I hope my listeners have learned so much about you and have tapped into what you're doing and supporting your artistry and everything like that, man. So 2022 about to be even better, man. Yo, the list is just gonna keep getting better, man. So tap in, subscribe at wherever you get your podcast from. Follow me at The Rec Show on Twitter, and then at The Rec Show Pod on Instagram, man. So more to come. Go ahead if you want to directly support the show and help me grow this even better and even more. Go ahead and subscribe to Gldnmnd.bandcamp.com. price of a cup of coffee per month. Like it's nothing, man. But if you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. We gonna keep it moving. I'm gonna just keep growing it because I love doing it. You feel me? Yo, happy New Year to everybody. Stay safe. You know what I mean? Protect yourselves, protect your mentals, all that stuff, man. And we gonna be back in 2022. You feel me? Yeah.
They tell like younger kids or other producers that's cheating. You can't really do yourself with your girl. Like when it comes to this producing shit, you can do whatever you want.
You've been listening to the Rec Show podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Remember 3 things. Believe in your music. Take care of your mental. Become the best version of yourself. Until the next one, Gldnmnd signing off. Peace and love, yo.
To be the best, you got to work overtime. To be the best, you got to work overtime.
And these young boys get better.